The general formula for setting a cost-based selling price adds a markup component to the cost base. And we have a couple of different ways of how we can end up coming up with our amount or the markup. The markup component is usually flexible depending on the behavior of our customers and our competitors. So we have to kind of use this as a rough number and then consider our market, our competition, the competing products, and what the customer's viewpoint is going to be. So instead of using the market-based or market price, which is our target price approach, for long-run pricing decisions, we can use this cost-based approach. Again, we can come up with a selling price, but it is our rough estimate of what we're going to use many times, and therefore you can just consider it as a starting point in the price setting process. Again, it's cost-based, but many times it is commonly referred to as cost plus pricing, and the plus refers to the markup component. We have mentioned certain types of industries that are regulated or contractually based in some nature, and many times those contracts are done on a cost plus basis, and it is literally spelled out in the contract for exactly what is able to be charged. Very, very defined. Cost plus pricing can be determined several different ways. We typically are going to choose a markup in order to earn a target rate of return on investment, or ROI, which is the target annual operating income divided by our invested capital. Hopefully you guys recall how you can do that. Let's just say we've got a target income number. We can take that dollar amount and divide it by our invested capital in order to get a percentage. Alright, so computing the specific amount of capital invested is kind of the tricky part. It's very challenging because it requires difficult and arbitrary allocations of investments in property, plant, and equipment to our individual products. Please be advised that if you guys have to go about helping to set this cost plus pricing, that you want to make sure for your benefit as well as the company's that the definition for capital invested is exceptionally well defined, so that you use the same type of information over and over, and that the correct information is gathered each time. Alright, so how would we go about determining our ROI? We're going to take and come up with our information. We can have a target number, something that has been utilized in the past, or we know that our investors or stockholders are looking to make. They're going to be calculating this stuff too and double checking that their investments are performing as expected or as wanted. So we can take that percentage ROI and multiply it times the defined invested capital. So whatever that amounts to. And then that gives us the total dollars of operating income that we are needing to generate. We can then take that and divide it by the total number of units that we're going to produce and sell. And that is going to give us the target operating income per unit. And this is in dollars. And we're going to add this, the markup in dollars, to our unit. All right, I want you guys to pay special attention here. We are talking about the return on investment percentage applied against the invested capital to come up with a target operating income in dollars per unit. And this is the amount that we're going to add to our cost number. Target ROI and markup percentage are not the same number. All right? That target operating income per unit in dollars plus the cost equals our selling price. Using the example in the textbook for the 15th edition, our particular company has a target ROI of 18%, and they have $96 million in their defined invested capital. Based on that, they want to generate operating income of $17,280,000. And we're going to have to do that spread over all the units that we produce and sell. So taking that, $17,280,000, and dividing it over 200,000 units that need to be produced and sold, then we are going to have to add $86.40 to the cost base of each one of those. Alright, so $86.40 in target operating income per unit that needs to be added to the cost base in order to get the selling price. Okay, so $86.40 plus our cost base, whether that be full or some part of full, depending on what we are doing, long range planning, etc. $806.40 would be our selling price. And again, the ROI here is 18%, but the markup is not 18%. How can you guys go about calculating that information? Our cost base is $720. We're adding $86.40 to that. Therefore, our prospective or starting point selling price is $806.40. And if you take $806.40 and you divide it by 720, the cost base, you would get 1.12, which is marking it up 112%, or a markup of 12%. Because computing the specific amount of capital invested in a product is very challenging, sometimes managers use an alternate cost basis to set the prospective selling prices. We could use our variable manufacturing cost. We're tracking those things on a daily basis pretty much. We can easily come up with that number, and we can mark it up by a certain percentage. We can use just our variable cost. We could even use all of our manufacturing costs, or again, we could use the full cost of the product. Many times we're using the full cost of the product. We have talked about the fact that in the long run, the price of a product must exceed the full cost of the product if the company plans to stay in business. Otherwise, you are spinning your wheels and wasting your money. So full cost is the best one, even though it's a little more time consuming, etc., to gather all that up. So it allows for full recovery of all costs of the product. It also allows for price stability. Doing so limits the ability and temptation of salespeople to cut prices by using the full cost of a product as the basis for those pricing decisions. We really like stable prices from the accounting department perspective, because when we're helping to facilitate forecasting, if we've got long range, full cost, stable prices, then that facilitates more accurate forecasting and planning for both the selling and marketing departments as well as our procurement and buying departments. It is a simple approach, even though again it does take some time to gather up all of our information, but once we've got it together, It makes it very easy for us to feel assured that we've covered all of our bases. Cost plus pricing and target pricing, the selling prices computed under this cost plus, again, are prospective. They are subject to change, taking into consideration our competition and our customers. The target pricing approach reduces the need to go back and forth among prospective cost plus prices. If we wanted to compare the two, that market target price, we don't have to necessarily go back and forth on the different methods of cost plus prices. Again, we could use variable manufacturing cost, we could use just the variable cost of the product, etc. Target pricing first determines product characteristics and target price on the basis of the customer preferences and expected competitor responses, and then computes a target cost, considering what our customers are going to be willing to pay for the things that we know that they prefer.